Hi guys, it's Kaylee, and as you can tell from the title of the video, I wanted to talk about something kind of heavy today, which is kind of dealing with the grief process of losing a pet. And this is the first time I've attempted to record a video outdoors, so forgive me if there's like weird background noise. Obviously I can't control that. The squirrels are going crazy because it's fall and they've been fighting and making all kinds of interesting noises back there. And then occasionally there's, loud cars that go by, and sometimes the neighbors like to randomly rev up like lawn equipment and stuff. So I apologize if any of that happens. It's out of my hands. For those who don't know, I had my cat Gammy. You may remember him in my older videos where I would have my bedroom in the background. He was always the really cute tabby cat that was always sleeping on my bed in the background, and he was just the sweetest baby and I loved him so much. And unfortunately, a couple months ago he suddenly got very, very ill, and I ended up having to put him to sleep, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, actually. As someone who has had pets their whole lives and has put many pets to sleep, it was still really hard and very difficult, because for most of my other pets, they lived very long, full lives with me, and you could just tell when it was their time, when they weren't getting a quality of life anymore, and it was relatively peaceful, and I was there with them the whole time. And of course it was sad, but it wasn't as traumatizing to me as losing Gammy, because his illness got so much worse so fast, and I was in this new situation where I moved out of state, and Gammy's always been there for me. He was always kind of my little security blanket. He was always like, he just had so much unconditional love. He was like the most loving cat, the most loving animal, period, I think I've ever known. It's like he was kind of afraid and skittish around other people, but he just loved me so much and so unconditionally. I knew no matter what happened in my life, or how hard it got, or how bad my relationships with other people got, I'm sorry, I knew I could always count on him. I knew he was always there for me, and he always loved me. And that may sound silly to some people who don't have pets, or who don't like pets, or see the value in pets, but they really do become part of your family, like as valuable to you as any human relationship you have. Sometimes even more so for those of us who, struggle with mental illness and forming human relationships. I think especially for us, like myself, I have anxiety and depression. It's very, very hard for me to form close relationships with other people and trust other people and let them into my life. But pets give me that kind of social outlet that I need, that we all need as social creatures. And at the same time, they also kind of keep you tethered, because someone's depending on you, someone cares about you. And honestly, Gammy kept me alive a lot of times when I, was feeling at my worst, and I had suicidal ideation, and I was certain that no one else cared and everyone else would be better off if I was gone. He kept me around because I knew he wouldn't be better off if I was gone. I knew that we had a special bond, and no one else would care for him the way that I did, and he would be alone and scared like he was before I adopted him. So I'm sorry. So yeah, needless to say, Gammy was very, very special to me. He may have been the most special cat I've ever known, the most special pet I've ever had. and we just went through so much together. And it was really, really hard on me to suddenly lose him. Obviously because I didn't even really talk about it publicly very much or share it with you guys. I made a couple, memorial posts for him on my social media and stuff, but other than that, it was like too painful. I couldn't really talk about it. I had in mind to make this video for quite a while, but I just couldn't even bring myself to talk about it. Obviously, even now, it's been almost 2 months since he's passed away, and I still cry whenever I talk about him and how much he meant to me. But it feels good to share it with you guys and let you know how important he was to me and what a special little man he was. Anyway, as much as I love Gammy, it's not about me just talking about my relationship and my loss. I also wanted to talk a little bit about some stuff I've kind of learned as I'm going through the grieving process, and I thought I could share it with you guys, and maybe if anyone else out there is hurting or going through something similar, maybe it could help you as well. So that's what I wanted to do. And also I just wanted to mention my grief is a little complex. It's a little bit different just than grieving the loss of a beloved pet, but it's also wrapped up in complicated feelings of guilt, which I don't think is all that uncommon, like feeling guilty that I couldn't save him, that I couldn't help him. And my other cat, Ouija, is meowing at me from inside, wanting to come out here on the deck with me, so forgive me if you can hear that cat meowing in the background. Our pet's death leaves a profound impact on us, especially if it was like sudden and unexpected. I know finding closure is sort of a buzzword, but it's basically like an incomplete grief. Like you're not getting to complete your grief, and it really complicates things. And I've come to realize grief is the process of trying to make sense out of an experience. And we as humans, we really like to believe that there's a purpose in everything. We like to believe that things happen for a reason, and sometimes you just have to remind yourself there is no reason. Sometimes things just don't make sense. And that doesn't mean that your experience with your pet or their life was invalid and didn't matter. It doesn't mean that at all, but it can help with your grief and thinking, there is no reason my pet passed away. I didn't do anything wrong. I did everything I could. And hindsight is 20/20. Like, maybe this is obvious to me now, but it wasn't at the time. I did my best with what I knew at the time. But this quest for closure, this quest for reason, can really cause us to blame ourselves. And that's another big thing I've had to kind of come to terms with in my own grief, is just realizing that we can only do the best. We can only do our best with what we have, what we know at the time. If you had to put a pet down because, you just couldn't afford to get them the medical help they needed, or whatever circumstances, if you accidentally left a gate open and your pet, ran out and was hit by a car or ran away and you never saw them again, things like that can cause you a lot of grief and cause you a lot of guilt and self-blame, because you're going back in your head replaying the things you could have done. But again, we can only work with what we know, with what we have at the time. And it's not your pet's fault, but it's also not your fault. You knew that you loved your pet and you would do anything for them, and you were always trying to do the best by them. And I'm pretty sure your pet knew that too. We never plan for anything bad to happen. And often in grief, I think we kind of use grief as a way to punish ourselves. We feel like the more we suffer, the more pain we feel in our pet's passing, that is more honoring to our pet. Like, it's showing the world and maybe the spirit or whatever of our pet how much they were loved. We think up all these what if scenarios about things we could have done to help and save our pet, and for me especially, that's been a big thing. And also just the idea of like, what if I had waited and had just one more day with my pet? What if, you know, what would I do if I just had that one day back where I could spend one more day with them? Like, guilt leads to anxiety, and it can even lead to panic. It's easy to kind of spin out of control and feel burdened by, you know, the daily demands of life, and not feeling like you're not able to, you know, do basic things like your daily, just take care of your daily things every day and go to work and take care of yourself and just function normally. In some cases, we feel like we don't deserve to be happy, that we did something terrible, and we don't deserve to be happy and live a normal life after, you know, our precious pet that depended on us, we let them down. But it's not the case. You still need to do your best to self-care and go through your daily activities as much as possible. Of course, especially at first, I don't think anyone's going to expect you to, you know, just bounce right back into your normal life. You can take it slow. You can, you know, sleep in. You can take a break from, you know, work or chores if that's something you're able to do, and just kind of go easy on yourself and maybe do extra things to kind of take care of yourself, like take a long hot bath. If it's not too painful for you, you can look at lots of pictures and videos of your pets. That was really painful for me. I couldn't do it at first, but I'm now getting to a point where I can watch some of the videos and funny pictures and stuff I've taken of Gammy over the years, and just laugh and just remember all the good times we had and what a sweet, goofy boy he was. But it took a long time to be able to do that. It was definitely much too painful at first, right after he passed. If you have people in your life, like a partner, friends, anyone who is supportive of you and knows how much your pet meant to you, you can always lean on them for support, and maybe text them or call them if you're having a particularly bad time, if you feel like you're not up to, you know, pulling yourself up and getting out there and going to work or whatever you need to do. Something that's really therapeutic for me that I like to do is like go on walks and kind of take in nature and just feel like I'm a part of it and take in the beauty of it all. That's something that's very therapeutic to me. But just be very gentle and easy with yourself. Think of yourself as, you know, a friend. Think of yourself as your pet would have thought of you, as a dear, dear friend, and they wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you, just like you didn't want anything bad to happen to them. And, you know, take care of your friend. I think ultimately what's really helping me in my grief is thinking about how much my pet knew that I loved him, and thinking about what he would have wanted for me. Ask yourself, what would my pet want for me? Would they want you to be sad and miserable and, you know, feeling all this guilt and missing them all the time? Or would they want you to go on and live your best life and be happy? And if you have the ability to, if you want to, once you feel you're able to, you could give that love to another pet. You could go out and adopt another pet that really needs love and really needs a person in their life to take care of them. And you could be that person, and you could take that love that you gave your pet that passed away, you could pass it on to another pet in need. And I think that's a really great legacy for your pet to have, is that they got your love, you made their life so much better, And I imagine your pet would be like, yeah, go out there, make some other pet very, very happy, be the best thing that ever happened to them too. But if you don't feel up to getting a pet again soon, or maybe even ever, that's okay too. That doesn't diminish the importance in your life of that pet or the importance of you in their lives. It was like, no matter what, nothing is going to diminish the amount of beauty and love that you put back into the world by letting this pet into your life and loving them. I guess all I really have to say at the end of it all is just don't stop living your best life. Do your best. It's okay to grieve and mourn. If you're having trouble grieving and mourning, or maybe you don't have very supportive people around you to facilitate your grief, don't be afraid to seek therapy if you need it. If you can't afford to go to an actual therapist, there are lots of grief counseling hotlines out there. There are lots of grief counseling groups specifically for pets and such. So, you know, just look around. There's support out there if you need it, and there's no shame in getting it if you need it. And I know obviously it's still very difficult for me, but I know if I can pull through, I know you can too. And good luck, and you were great. You were the best thing to ever happen to your pet. So, you know, don't feel bad about that. If you've ever lost a pet and it's devastated you greatly, I'm very sorry. But if you feel like it would maybe make you feel better, tell me down in the comments below about your special pet and why they were so special to you. Just like Gammy was to me. I'm sorry this is kind of a sad video. Like I said, I've been wanting to make it for a while, and I wasn't expecting to still cry as much as I do. So I guess I still have a little bit of stuff to deal with in my grief and mourning and stuff on my own. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I know your pets love you too. And you know, give all your pets all the love and treat them very well, and adopt, don't shop. And never forget that you are beautiful just the way you are, and to always be yourself. And thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.